That was it.
We are now called to order at 8 o'clock for the Brimfield Township bi-monthly meeting. This time I want us to all stand, say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Pastor Wetzel isn't here this morning, so I would just suggest that we all just have a moment of silence and ask for God's grace and for knowledge and wisdom for this week, for this meeting. Thank you. You may proceed. Thank you all for attending. And let's go ahead with our agenda here. Do we have any meeting guests today?
I'd like to speak, I don't know if that's what.
Okay, the way this works is, if you're not actually listed on the agenda, then you have 5 minutes to say whatever you gotta say. So that you gotta have your name and your address given to us.
So we have no scheduled public meeting guests, but we'll get to you guys in the public comment section. It'll be just another minute.
Okay, all right, we'll catch you at the bottom. We won't forget you. If we do, just raise your hand. I would like a motion to accept the minutes for the previous meeting.
So we had 2 meetings. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, and Monday, January 8th, 2024.
Now, the one on February the 2nd was the organizational meeting, and the meeting on January the 8th was for inventory. All the department heads had to turn in their inventory for review.
Are you going to second that too?
Yes, I am. I will second that
So-
motion.
For discussion, I believe we need to table those meeting minutes because I was looking at them. There was, I made a motion at the beginning of the January 2nd meeting to appoint Sue Fields as the chairman. There was no second on it, but under parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Order, that still has to be listed inside the meeting minutes. So that's going to throw off all of our meeting items inside those documents.
Okay.
So we
Yeah,
have
and
to
you made
renumber
the
everything.
motion, and I said, no, I didn't want to do that.
Right, because there's a motion on the floor and it wasn't withdrawn. If there's a motion on the floor under parliamentary procedure, there's clarification on this too, then it has to be added to the meeting minutes, even though there's no second on it. So that's going to change the entire order of all of our numbering. And then on the January 8th meeting, there was a motion to approve the agenda, a second, and then there was an amendment of the agenda under the main motion to remove an item. That amendment doesn't become its own motion number. That's part of that motion. So there's a secondary motion number in there too. So I think we need to look at that before we vote on it and get the whole thing renumbered.
Okay, well, everything that you said, I recall that it really did happen, so.
Yeah, so I think we just, before we vote on it, let's just get it changed, right? Because it's going to throw off the numbers for the entire year then.
Okay, so we'll just bring those to bring it to the next meeting for approval then.
Correct.
sounds
So we'll
good.
table it for now.
Okay, we will table that. And the agenda for today, I'd like to make a motion. Are there any additions or any issues on this before we go forward with it?
I'll second it for discussion and then we can amend.
Okay. We do have a change to the executive session. It's not to discuss an employment matter, rather it's to discuss negotiation matters.
Okay. So I'll make a motion or amendment under that to change executive session 1 to discuss and then contract, or would you say it was contract?
Negotiations?
Negotiations. Okay.
Second. All in favor? Okay, we ready to vote on that? I vote yes.
Yes.
Motion carried.
That'll have to be spelled out.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the purchase orders. I reviewed them and signed them and in agreement with it. I'd like a second.
I will second the purchase orders for discussion. I had a question on one of the purchase orders. Craig, this is for you, just so I understand it.
Yes.
There was, sorry, it just disappeared. I was signing these last night. Chase MasterCard donation, $500. So was that a donation to us?
Yes,
Okay,
it was a donation to the fire department, and we turned around and turned that into Chase. So we can turn around and purchase off of Chase. So
okay,
it's a donation in, put back into a credit card purchase.
okay.
So, does that make sense?
Yes, I was just trying to figure out why it was on a purchase order form, but that makes
Yeah,
sense
we
now.
can put it into.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I was trying to figure out why there was a purchase order for a donation.
So a lot of people come in and they'll say, hey, we want to give you a donation and we want it to be used to buy the guy's food.
Right.
And then we turn around and put it on Chase.
Okay.
For example. That's what that one was.
Okay, I'm good with that then.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Yes,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the warrants.
Second.
I got one warrant I had a question on, which was the Walmart community. I'm assuming, Roy, this was probably Shop with the Cop. There was multiple receipts.
Yes.
It had like Legos and stuff on it.
Yep.
Okay,
That's-
I just wanted to make sure because it didn't say Shop with the Cop on there, so
that's what that was.
it just threw up a red flag.
Okay, ready for the vote?
Yep.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Roy likes Legos.
Motion
Figure it
carries.
out.
I do.
We have public comments and questions. Please state your name and address before addressing the board.
Hi, my name is Tony Artaki, spelled A-R-C-O-N-T-I, and I live at 4151 Chapman Drive. My name is Kevin Sally.
We'll start, are you speaking with him
No,
or separate?
no.
Okay, we'll get to you next,
I thought
sir.
you were.
Sure, no problem. You can go ahead and talk, sir.
Okay, so I know my time's limited. I'm not here to solve anyone, and I hope I don't. But I just wanted to share my opinion and to save time. I'm just going to read from what I think. I want to start out by thanking the chiefs, department heads, trustees, and the many employees that work hard on continuing to build better Brimfield. You guys do put a lot in, and I do appreciate it. I want to make a special thanks. He's not here, Mike Ladd, who's been very successful in the development of Brimfield. It's been fun to watch. I've been a resident for 21 years. Chief Mosley, I appreciate you getting out into the public, meeting with people. It's nice to see, very respectful. Special kudos to Director Wire over here. I know running the Brimfest, lights, put a lot of work and planning in it. And everybody supports that. I think that's great, and I wanted to get back here when Brimfest was over, and thank you. I wasn't able to attend, but I enjoyed very much what we continue. It's also nice to see Trustee Coya coming into the board, a lot of professionalism, knowledge, passion. In his own words from the website, goal to have a plan to keep pace with the growth and the plans to develop comprehensive strategic management plans to react appropriately to the growth while meeting the needs of the citizens. I think it's very important. Planning is so important to continue this growth. I feel we lack a little bit of that in the township, just my opinion. But I mainly came here today to share my opinion on the Board of Trustees organizational meeting held on January 2nd, 2024. In my opinion, it was far from organized. It basically embarrassing action. Many concerns I had, but I wanted to hit on four real quick, hopefully. The agenda. There was a comment, it was sort of funny, but it wasn't. So there was a comment, how many agendas are there? There were actually 3 different agendas. Mike and John were using an agenda from last year. Couldn't understand that. Nick at least had a current year agenda they got uploaded the night before. Shows me he was planning and preparing. And then Holly had one updated, and I think Sue had the actual updated form of it. So it's very confusing of what's going on. For me, that, sort of threw up red flags. So just that planning part again seemed to be a breakdown. Big thing, another thing too that really concerned me was when the budget vote. Okay, we voted on, the board of trustees voted on to approve the temporary budget that was never presented. The trustees were unaware of even of the balance carryover until after they voted to accept it. And the only trustee, in my opinion, that did the right thing was Nick, and he voted no. The one thing too, listening to the meeting, John stated that Mike made the motion and Nick seconded the motion. If you listen to it back, that's not the case. Sue seconded it, not Nick. So speaking minutes, you may want to look at that. The one thing too is I visited the Jackson Township website last night, and they have their 2024 budget posted, broken down by departments, and then even broken down further by that department on where they're going to spend that money and how they're going to spend that money. I think us as citizens and residents, we've elected the trustees and the treasurer to do this, and I think we dropped the ball on that budget, looking at other areas. Other thing was sort of upsetting, really was the discussion on the trustee meeting times, trying to change that. You know, Nick spent a lot of time and gathered great information why the township should hold later meetings to allow greater opportunity for the residents to attend. The study that and information he shared showed that all cities, villages, townships hold meetings in the evening by a large percent. And 75% of us are not available to come to these meetings. Like unfortunately, I would love to stay for this meeting today, but I do have to get to work. So I'm taking some time off right now so I can come and speak. The one thing though is, Sue, you gave 3 reasons why you would not second that motion. The first one was the information Nick supplied didn't include townships. He both written and verbal communicated that. The other reason you said is would create overtime. I would think that you would know that your staff here is salary exempt from overtime. The third reason really sort of bothered me a little bit, and I quote, you said at 8 o'clock, the meeting's over by 9, and the rest of the day is free. That was hurtful. You did comment that we're on video, that's great. I am one of the very few people in Brimfield that view it every month. It is sometimes hard to hear everybody. It has gotten better, and I just noticed on the minutes, it looks like IT is going to work on getting that in the new phase 2 of the building. So
Your time
that's
is up.
good to hear. I just hope we never vote to get rid of filming these meetings because it is very valuable to the Brimfield residents that maybe care. So Mike stated.
Mr. Arconi, your time is up. If you could just wrap it up real quick.
Okay. Mike stated it was more fluid for the township employees. These are public meetings. It should be more fluid for the public. Mike also stated this number is out there for everyone, even the wackos. I know Mike, I hope that he didn't even say that, but it was said, and it was very hurtful. I'm not going to go talking about the appointment liaisons. I'll come back later. But my thing is, and I'll sum it up real quick, but I'll come back later and speak. But it just seems like the management team or the leadership team here, trustee team, just not gelling. There's a lot, I come from a lot of management experience, and there's a model, it's called the forming, storming, norming, and performing.
You're
And
gonna need to wrap
now
it
you
up.
guys are in the storming mode, you need to get performing and help with that. Since I ran out of time, I guess I'll come back to the next meeting and finish up. I apologize for going over, and hopefully I didn't offend anyone. Just wanted to share my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would suggest for your budget issues, John does have an open door. And if you want to go in there and talk to him about any of those things that have to deal with our finances, he's more than welcome to sit down and go over that with you.
And I understand that. I spoke to John in the past. It's just that the way that it was presented and voted with no knowledge of the trustees was scary for me. And the fact that why isn't it done?
Well,
Why?
if he were here today, I'm sure he could answer.
Okay. I'll tell you another meeting. Make sure.
Or you can just make an appointment with him and go in and ask him those questions. But I appreciate you coming in today
All right.
and giving us your opinion, and it's fine.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
informative.
We have any safety concern? Oh, did you want to say anything, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My name is Kevin Sally.
Kevin, could you spell your last name for me?
Sally.
Okay.
I live right up the street, 4445 Edson.
Okay, Kevin, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Great. So the reason for me coming here today is I've been dealing with an issue up here at my house for since May and then last year during the summertime. So the neighbor has allowed people to camp on his property, and there's been a camper in the back that these folks have been living in, and it seems like it's unfortunately the situation got solved on Saturday night. The guy down there, he was there dealing with that mess. But anyway, I still want to come down here and maybe for the future talk about this. I've gone around talking to all sorts of folks. I went to the police, they sent me to the zoning, and zoning had some dealings with the prosecutor, and apparently, I guess it's, you're able to do this, but this is residency to me more than camping. And, you know, I don't know where what kind of power, this group has, but, I've heard that you guys can tell businesses what color to paint their business. So I think we want, I've been here 32 years. We want this place to be a community, not it's like a commune from back in the day. And I don't like living like that. And I'm sure none of you would like that living next to you. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, the summer before, I had a guy out there living in a tent next to me, and I'm sure they're going over on my property and doing their business and all because they don't have any. Maybe that was the reason why overloaded circuits that the place burned up the other day. I don't know, but it also creates a lot of influx of folks that you probably wouldn't want to see next to your house either. In and out, and it's just a mess. And there needs to be something done so there isn't such a unlawful type of situation. And I can't believe for the life of me that that's okay to have, folks living there like that. It's just, are we done? Okay.
Bill Anderson, 2473 Acorn Avenue. Last year, I brought up a question of home rule, and I want to know whether the board is taking that into consideration as far as putting it on a ballot this year. I know you can't invoke home rule or just change it unless you have 15,000 residents, which we probably do, but the census was so bad that we can't go off of that. But the other alternative is to put it on the ballot, and so I was wondering whether the board would put that on the ballot. Home rule would certainly help in his issue, give the township more authority, and actually, some better access to a prosecutor that would actually do something. Portage County's prosecutors don't seem to do a lot for this township, so would like that the consideration for that thought to discuss it and put it on ballot. That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you.
I'm not, just as a response to that, I'm not opposed to home rule status. I would think the earliest we could see that would be fall, because it's going to take a lot of marketing. You and I understand it,
I agree.
but we have to get the general public to understand. It's just not a topic that a lot of people understand. There are a lot of misnomers, so I think it's something we should look at as part of our 2024 goals.
About it, let me see, probably
So
back in the
what
middle
about-
90s.
Does that go along with that?
Yeah, so your home rule could potentially help in your situation. Home rule, in a nutshell, allows us to operate kind of like a city without all the city authority. There's specific things in Ohio Revised Code that says township shall not do these things. Those are things that we couldn't overrule with home rule. But this would allow us to set some ordinances within there. But I'm gonna follow up on yours too, Kevin. I wrote down your address and I'm
You
gonna
can
follow up.
see it, it's right up, you can see it from the driveway here.
Okay. Well, and I wanna talk with Mike Ladd just to see what research he did and then follow up on that issue.
Okay.
I just want to comment on the home rule. Is back in the early 90s, maybe 95 or so, the board did address that. And when I was running for campaign, I had a gentleman coming in and we did a debate at candidates night on home rule. And right at that time, to do home rule back then, we didn't have the finances, we didn't have, no way we could afford a full-time prosecutor. And so at that time, the people did get some information out that they could understand it a little bit. But I'm sure that those rules, some of those rules have changed or not, I'm sure it's gotten better.
Right.
I'm gonna go to the Ohio Township Association Conference, first week in February. And that's where they have 90-some seminars that we can go and get updated on laws, and it's really a 2.5 day intensive training. And I'm sure something on home rule will be there. I'll be looking into that. I'll bring back whatever I can on that. But I think that's a good suggestion. And like Nick says, I really don't think we can do anything before November. We'd have to have public meetings and all this to explain to people
Yeah, I
what's
just kind of brought it up now so I can get it out there and say,
at least take a good look.
That will allow.
So what are we doing in line for population right now in Brimfield?
I'd have to pull the census numbers. I think the census was around 12,000, but
Well, we have
there was a lot of questions on the census, because when I
Yeah.
looked at the numbers, the city of Kent, they had a decline in overall census, but in non-student housing areas, but the census was taken during student housing, during COVID, when student housing wasn't in
Yeah.
effect.
So-
So the numbers were way off on that census.
Well, the county did do a survey, and that was one of the questions asked about. home rule.
Right.
And some people certainly were in favor of it, but the survey that was taken was very small numbers of people that actually responded to the survey. So,
Okay. Well, we've had very, very informative public comments and questions this morning. It was very good.
Is there anybody else before we?
Ready to go on, ready for anybody?
I would, I actually want this, just directly towards Roy, while going around the
Go ahead.
Could you, your name and address, please?
You guys.
No, we know
I
you.
just
We
wanted
have to
mention
put it in the, sir, we
We have
have,
to have it, hey,
For
you
being
can't go
very
here.
kind to the mentally ill, because there were a lot of people that were.
Jimmy, you have to,
You
for the,
know me.
but for the process, you do,
Before I go back, I'm not going to.
I'm sorry, I'm
I
gonna
just
have,
wanted to thank you for the mentally ill, because a lot of the residents appreciate your officers being very, very kind to them and dealing with them very, very respectfully.
Yeah, that's an issue we deal with a lot, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's, I mean, there was some serious mental illness.
For sure.
They said, hey, the Brimfield police officers were very, very good with us.
Yeah, I'll pass that on, thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, would you give us your name and address for the minutes? That's a requirement, Ohio Revised Code. We have to go with that.
This is 15 times, it's changing people,
I'm sorry, I can't hear maybe that well, but if you could slow down in your address, I could capture it.
Okay, 450.
Thank you.
Just wanted to give a compliment, that's all I
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to
good.
give. And you guys have that, and John knows that, and this is the first time.
It's the process, yeah, it's not,
You guys, you know.
but we have to do it for Ohio Revised Code. We know most of you here, but we have to do that for Ohio Revised Code, simply following the
You guys
process.
oftentimes, since you brought that up, you guys put that into online and things like that, after getting an address.
I don't know if the
I've seen that before.
addresses go in the meeting minutes, do you know, Nick? I don't think so. I'm not sure
I
what the
can't tell you off
requirement
the top
is.
of my head.
Yeah, I would have to look into what the requirement is. I know we're required to collect it, but I'm not sure how it's documented. I'd have to check on that, but I can follow up and let you know.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes I don't feel very comfortable giving it,
Sure,
because of any type of retaliatory activity.
sure.
And all I wanted to do is give him a compliment, nothing negative.
I understand. Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay,
So
let's
if you call
go.
me by my name, you know who I am.
All right, let's go ahead with any safety concerns before we go to our regular meeting for department head. No safety concerns, okay. At this point, when we go into our meeting with our department heads, we ask that we don't have any comments from the floor. And then at the end of the meeting, we have what we call the good of the order. And at that point, then, if there's any comments, they can be made at that point. At this time, we're gonna go ahead with Chief Mosley and the police department.
Thanks, Sue. I have just a few items for you guys this morning. One item under old business, I just wanted to give you an update on the status of the 2 vehicles that we ordered very early on in 2023. As you guys know, we didn't take delivery of those until December. I just want to give you an update. Those vehicles, the graphics have been applied to them. We're still waiting for our upfitter to come and get the equipment set up in those cars. So that's probably going to happen next month in February. So those are going to be out on the road, but it's going to be next month in February. I just wanted to give you an update on that piece. A couple items under new business that's going to require board approval this morning. The first item I have is I need board approval for acceptance of the Ohio Law Enforcement Body Armor Program Award of $7,386.25 to the Ohio Attorney General's Office to purchase officer body armor in the year 2024.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the Ohio Law Enforcement Body Armor Grant Program in the amount of $7,386.25.
Second.
All right, and then we've applied for this a few times before, correct?
Yeah, we have. There's 2 programs. There's a federal Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program. There's also the state program. So we're able to obtain funds from both sources.
Is this a 100% matching grant or is there a?
This is not a 100% matching grant, and I can't recall the formula off the top of my head.
Okay.
Okay. I would just like to point out, since we had our organizational meeting, that Nick is the liaison to the police department. So when this comes up of issues dealing with the police department, then out of respect of the job, the motions and everything, I would prefer that Nick make those because he's on top of everything with Chief Mosley and so far with the fire and all that. That when those subjects come up that deal with the departments that we're the liaisons on, then I think that those people should be the one to be making the motions, and that anybody else in here can make a second. So Nick made the motion and I made the second, so we have no discussion on it. I'm all right with it. So I'd like to call for the vote.
Holly, can you call vote?
Yes.
You just say, just do the name. So Mike would be absent.
Mike absent, Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Second item I have for the board this morning is approval for the Kent State University Police Department's records and RMS maintenance fees for calendar year 2024 in the amount of $29,732 with our first half payment of $15,166. This is an annual expense we do every year with Kent State that covers our records and maintenance fees and our mobile for the MDTs and the cruisers.
I'd like to make that motion to keep Kent State University Police Department records and RMS maintenance fees for calendar year 2024 in the amount of $29,732.
Second.
Do we see any increase from this year?
There was an increase of about $500 from last year to this year. This is also authorizing the first payment of that to be made in the amount of $15,166, just FYI.
Yeah. And so this is, I did it as a blanket motion, so when the second amount comes up,
Okay.
we're good for the year.
All right.
Okay, so Nick made the motion, and I'll second that.
Just call roll.
Vote Nick, Mike absent, Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Thank you. The final item I have is board approval for the mutual aid agreement for emergency police services between Brimfield Township and Kent State University. This is just a renewal of the existing mutual aid agreement we have with them. This is a university requirement on their end. Every 4 years, they're required to renew their mutual aid agreement with entities surrounding Kent State University Police Department. We do not have an agreement with them because by statute under ORC, we have authority to come in and provide mutual aid to them. But as a university police department, they have specific requirements for mutual aid. So we're not changing anything. We're simply renewing this for another 4 years. There's no change in the existing language here either.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into a mutual aid agreement for emergency police services between Brimfield Township and Kent State University for a 4-year contract.
Second. And I'll second that.
Do you need us to sign the?
I can give this document to you at the end of the meeting, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Call for a vote, Mike absent, Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
And that's all I have for the board this morning, unless you have any other questions for me.
Just one quick question, and it might just been a clerical error on here. Under calls for service year to date.
Yeah.
It says 2024 60, 2023 60.
Yep.
Is that?
I literally just ran it through the call for service. We actually are dead even.
Okay.
I just want year to date for those first 10 days of the
So
year.
the first 10 days of
It's
23 and
60,
24 is 60. Okay.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
just saw it, and I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure.
right.
Clarify.
Yeah. I checked it twice and it actually, yeah, it was right. So,
Okay, does that
Yeah,
conclude your?
that does,
report?
yes.
Okay, very good. And let's continue on out to the fire department, correct?
Okay, thank you. For the fire department, you call it CETA, calls for service 2024 to 2023. I have no old business. On new business update, station build. We do have tomorrow a walkthrough on all the electrical HVAC services and things like that. Minor repairs are being finished, but there are major repairs that are still pending. So we talked as a board, and just so the public knows, there's some no-go items that still are pending. One in particular being that there was water that dripped down onto the fire alarm panel, and they owe us a new panel. Well, that's part of moving in, so that's a new one that's come up. So as much as I'm ready to get in there, and it's close, there's still some things that need to be done. Any questions on that? I know that Sue or Nick, you've been there now, so.
Yeah, we walked through on Friday and talked with them, and I got an email from Mario last night that we need to follow up on to get some final paperwork, but we just need to get the change orders finalized between Rycon and Moody.
Right.
So that we can close this up and get people moved in.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think.
As we talk every week,
punch
yes,
list. Yeah,
there's stuff that I gotta get done.
but the majors have to be fixed. We can't move in without the fire alarm panel, so.
Well, yeah, so they add that to the critical path. I don't even think legally I can take occupancy. Excuse me, I don't think they'll give me occupancy.
Right.
Without that working, so.
Have they scheduled, this I guess is to you and Holly, have they scheduled inspections yet? I know we were talking about a Wednesday, Thursday deadline
So
for the
they
electrical.
were waiting on the electrical components to be put in, which was supposed to be yesterday or today.
So
And
did they call and schedule?
I think he told us they were waiting on those to be installed before they scheduled.
Because they were supposed to schedule it while they were doing the installation.
But they didn't know when the parts were coming.
The problem
Now
was
that
when they
know.
first were looking, in the beginning, they thought the parts were readily available. And then as of, I think, Monday, it was gonna take a week to get the parts. And then they ended up getting the parts, so they didn't want to schedule an inspection until they had secured the parts.
If they have the parts are installed, and we need to follow up with Mario and get them to schedule, because it's 48 hours for that inspection.
Yes, I just don't know if they have picked up the parts, if they put them in. There were a slew of emails already this morning, but I didn't have time to check them
Okay.
before
I
the
can call you
meeting.
later today.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that
That's-
I'm trying to move that along.
Yeah,
with
that's the best
electrical.
answer I got, I don't know.
Okay, any other comments from the fire department?
I still have some more things.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I forget your last name, sir, but
Sally.
as he was saying, we did have a fire on Saturday night. We had multiple companies there. Fire went well, nobody got hurt. It's under investigation, just so you know, for all components of that, but we were there for a while. It's probably a total loss, but that's insurance, to do those kind of things, so. Yeah, other than that, we're good for a fire. I mean, that's how fires go, so. Furniture and equipment are still being purchased for the anticipated move-in. I'm going ahead and getting the recliners and stuff like that put in. So we're allowed to move in those kind of things, so I'm pushing forward with that, but. So just so you'll see purchase orders for that kind of stuff. And then, the trustees and John have received the 2023 end of the year wrap-up in your email for end of the year and anticipated for next year purchases and goals.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to see that we're gonna be moving into the fire department here shortly. It's sometime in 24.
It's coming, it's just, I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm gonna say it out loud. If they tell me 2 weeks, I add 2 weeks on. It's just the way it's went. So,
It has been.
so if we think it's another 2 weeks, it's gonna be a month.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead here with the administration. Under old business, we have an update. And I want everybody to know that the Portage County Library Brimfield Branch grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony will be Saturday, January the 20th at 1 p.m. The new branch is located at 4286 Kelso Drive, Brimfield. So come and check out the new building, meet the librarians, and see all that the library has to offer. So that's invitation. And under new business, I have no updates and I have no issues under new business. So
I'm excited for this library. This has been a dream for me to see it happen.
You worked very hard on that.
Yeah, so we're this close. I believe you had the soft opening right now. They're doing some work in there, have staff in there. Normally we don't take anything from the audience, but I do have a question. I just want to get out. Friends of the library.
Yeah.
When are you guys holding that meeting?
To the best of my recollection, since that's a separate organization,
Okay.
I believe that is coming up next Tuesday afternoon, if I can remember correctly from the email I got.
Okay. And that's just an important part for our community and for you so that we can do some fundraising to help
Yeah,
bring
it's,
activities.
we're looking
pieces in.
forward to getting them back up and running, because that was a group that still has some holdover from the previous branch.
Yeah.
So,
Excited for
I
that.
wanted to ask you, I see you have some brochures in your
I've got a
hand.
stack of invites that I'll leave.
And if you would like, you could take a couple minutes, introduce yourself to everybody. And let us know who, what, where, when, because I know you worked very hard on this. And Cassie and Holly and the people and Nick, we've all looked for a long time for this to happen. So I'm really pleased.
My name is Jonathan Harris. I'm the director of the Portage County District Library. I mostly just showed up today in case there were any questions about it. But I do have a stack of invites if anybody would like to take one or more and hand them out to friends, by all means. We're looking forward to seeing everybody on Saturday the 20th. It's a project that's been a couple of years in the making, and a couple more years overdue.
Okay. Friday, I have an appointment meeting with the Young at Heart group. If you leave me a bunch of those, I can pass them out to the
I'll leave the
seniors.
staff.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that'd be good. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here. Okay, zoning and economic development. Mr. Ladd is not here today, and so Holly, I'm gonna turn this over to you for you to present.
Sure. So old business updates, Chase Bank is now complete and they had a ribbon cutting on January 3rd. We did provide a couple photos for you guys. Very nice facility and very nice. When you walk in, there's a Hello Brimfield with Chase. So
You all see that?
it's very nice. Highway View Drive storage facility is still under construction. They're working on fence and guardrails. They're also on the January 17th, 2024 BZA agenda for variance for signage. New business updates. We're currently working with the Veterans Administration Imaging and Cancer Center at the vacant property next to Kohl's. Plans are now complete and they're on the January 17th BZA agenda for conditional use. And that's all the updates for zoning and economic development.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
Yeah, morning.
Do your road department, please.
All righty. First thing off, I need a board approval to the Klein Road Culvert Project bid to be awarded to Winters Excavating for $220,760. The company that had it, that actually got it at first, they did not have the proper paperwork to go through OPWC. So the engineers have requested that we move to the second company, which would be Winters Excavating. I actually have the detailed letter from the county if you guys want to see it for why they weren't allowed. They didn't have the proper OPWC paperwork and that stuff, so we could actually lose funding with OPWC if they didn't have the proper paperwork and we're working through this. So.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we award to Winters Excavating for $220,760 for the Klein Road Culvert project.
I will second that.
Any discussion?
What's the anticipated start time on this project?
We haven't come up with that yet because we'll probably wait until a little bit further, like March, April.
But it'll be
It's
an
just-
early spring project for us.
Yeah, because they'll have to order the box culvert all that stuff. This way, everything can start moving forward.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take a roll call vote.
All right, so Mike absent, Nick,
Yes,
Sue?
Yes. And new business for the road department?
Oh, and I did bring the book if you guys want to sign it, the page on that. New business, it's that time again we're gonna start looking into the road levy about a renewal, to get it on the ballots, because it expires here in the next year. I've had some people bring up questions about the lights on the township signs. They're saying their lights ain't on them and stuff. Well, of course, it's been cloudy for the last 3 months, but the thing is, people are like, it's not much of a show for our township's lights, our signs. So I just want to give you guys, that, because somebody brought it up, people have been bringing it up to me.
I noticed the other day, Dave, coming back from Ritztown, it was probably, 7 PM, they were really dim. Like, you
Yeah,
could tell that they were dimming out.
And that's, I think, the problem with the solar lights is, well, without no sun, they're not gonna juice the batteries up, so.
Right.
And we did it, before we had people saying something about the lights weren't bright enough even during the summer, so. It's just one of the, I just wanted to get it up to you guys. I don't know if we want to move forward one day, electric, or there's a different kind of solar light. I'm not sure.
I think we need to explore some options at some point.
All righty. As of now, we've used approximately 200 ton of salt for the season, and we've just got a 200 ton order in, so we're still in really good shape for what's coming. Just a reminder to the residents again, I know I keep saying this, the basketball hoops, we need to get them off the roadways, because we do have storms that are coming, and in the next couple of days, we're probably gonna go out ourselves and push them off the roadway. We're not gonna knock them over, we're just gonna get them where we don't have to worry about hitting them. And right now, we're getting ready for the next round of weather, which is coming in on Friday through Saturday, Sunday, and we'll have a pretty good mess going on. So, just as FYI, people, get your cars off the roads, please. I'm already told a couple of my drivers, do not plow that road, pull off. We will not plow roads where we gotta take a chance of squeezing an 11-foot blade between a 10-foot parking spaces. It's that point. So if people see their roads don't get plowed, you guys get called, it's probably because they had cars in the way. Because I'm not taking a chance of taking one of my trucks out of service because they can't put their car in the driveway. So.
We have a parking ban. That's
2
within 2
inches.
inches. Can we issue that, Roy, through the notification system when we know we're at 2 inches? Just put a call out.
It was like yesterday morning, we went out because of the slush. I just had the guys plow the slush off, kind of help people get through things easier. And there was a couple locations they had, the guy said he was very unsure of himself going through there.
But so if we get to near that 2 inch, can we just coordinate that day where you let Roy or the PD know somehow so that they can put the alert
Just some
system out?
information about the snow parking.
Yeah, just, inclement weather incoming, snow parking ban in effect. When we're over 2 inches, please remove all cars from the roadway. Something.
Because pretty much this weekend, we're supposed to get hit.
Okay,
So,
we're at today's,
the problem is most time I'm out at 4 or
Yeah.
5 in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I can look to put that out today or tomorrow. That'd be,
Yeah, put it out Thursday or even Friday morning.
Okay.
To get people prepped, because the storm's coming in Friday?
yeah, it's supposed to start out as rain Friday and then switch over to snow 3, 4 in the morning on Saturday.
okay.
So yeah, I would wait till Friday,
All right.
Friday afternoon.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then the temperatures are gonna drop like crazy.
Yes.
Then I'm really gonna have fun getting it off the roads.
Okay.
So roads may be slick, everybody, because salt don't work that great once you get down in temperatures. So. Yeah, and other than that, that's my report.
Okay, that's good. Onward. You've got really good stuff. There's a lot of good things for us. This time I'd like to turn the meeting over to Cassie for the Parks and Recreation report.
Sure. Hi, good morning. So updates, our easy facility booking software and MemberMe Plus Parks app are live. If you might recall, since we switched over from WordPress to Civic Plus, we needed a new compatible booking system, which the system that we chose also came with an app. So that is all up and running, so that is good. That was a lot of information to transfer over with all of our rentals. So thank you to Hannah for doing a lot of that. John wanted me to bring up this item for discussion for Brimfest. We have an opportunity to book the Buck Naked Band for Brimfest. If you are unfamiliar with them, they are a pretty popular local band. They've played at the Football Hall of Fame, the Canal Fulton Country Music Festival. They do the Cuyahoga Falls Oktoberfest and a bunch of other local events. So I got a quote from them for a 3-hour performance on Friday, would be $2,000, which I know is a little steep. However, we received over $10,000 in donations last year, and I feel pretty confident that I could get them at least partially funded, if not completely. So
How many members are in this band?
I think it's 5.
They played last year.
They did not.
Well, I'm beyond that. I'm beyond that Buck Naked Band. I'm not familiar with them at all.
They don't come out well.
They don't.
What's
They don't come out well, maybe.
They don't come out butt naked. They really don't. But you say they're a good, solid local band.
Might be
Yeah,
interesting.
they play at the Outpost quite a bit, and they won the Fox 8 Hot List in 2012, 2013, 2016, and 2017, and they won the Beacon's Best Award in 2019 and 2020. So
Well, I do know, and I've heard some comments about the Brimfest, and I was talking to this person, I said, well, what would you suggest that we would do that would be a big enough focal point that would bring in a draw of people? And so it was suggested that we have to come up with some idea that is going to pull people from not just Brimfield to make it a success. I think you're saying we have good name recognition there, $2,000 for 5 people. And it's a 3-hour show.
and they bring all of their own equipment and load and unload too. So
Okay. Nick, you have any comments about that?
No, I think whatever we can do to make Brimfest that much better each year is important to me. It's a big community piece. Everybody looks forward to it. You're going to pay if you want a good band, but is this going to be like our stage highlight for Saturday night, or what's the game plan?
they unfortunately can only play on Friday. I wish they could play Saturday night, but
Okay.
yes, they'd be Friday night.
Right.
They're a very popular band.
Mhm.
They're well known for a long time.
Do we know if we have any scheduling conflicts on Friday night yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because sometimes we run into the homecoming and all that type of stuff. so.
Yeah, as far as I know, I don't know if they've released the date for homecoming yet. Have they?
Yeah, school hasn't started the calendar yet for next year.
Should be soon though.
I'll tell them what
Yeah.
homecoming will be.
Yeah, because I'm waiting on that for some other things.
It should be scheduled in their organizational meeting, so it might be out.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm for it. I just would hate to
Sure.
spend $2,000 if it's going to be, if we're competing with other large pieces in the
Sure.
township, would be my only concern there. Because, homecoming's going to pull a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea, so.
Do we want to go ahead and make a motion to accept this today? Or do we want to wait? Well, if we wait another 2 weeks, everybody else is booking too. We might lose that spot. for them
Yeah,
to be
that's
booked.
fine, Linda.
So so here would be my suggestion. That we make a motion to approve it contingent on checking the organizational meeting from the school.
Yep.
If they have that going on, then I think we need to have a discussion
Sure.
about that. If the organizational meeting hasn't happened or has happened and they don't have dates yet, then we just need to set dates. I just really think we need to double check that before we book.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
So motion to accept the Buck Naked Band to play on Friday, 9/27 for a 3-hour performance, contingent upon checking the Field Local School District organizational meeting to ensure we're not in conflict with homecoming event. And then Cassie, if you check it and it's not posted yet or it's done, then you have that authorization to move forward with this motion.
Sure.
Because I think waiting an extra 2 weeks for another meeting here, it might be to our disadvantage to do that. I do a roll call vote.
So, Mike absent, Nick,
Yes,
Sue?
Yes.
It's approved. Okay, thank you. Just some other updates. Past programs, on the 17th, we did the Christmas Audubon bird count. Thank you to the 2 people that came out in the freezing rain for that. We sent all of our data over to the Audubon Society, so they recorded the birds in McGuire Park. So very nice. And then on the 5th, we did 2 programs. We did a waterfowl watch at McGuire Park, and then we did our Happy Bird Day Birdcraft Open House. Thank you to Sue for attending that.
Would you want to share with us what kind of birds you all discovered?
At McGuire Park,
Yes.
we saw dark-eyed juncos, which are migratory birds. We actually had a couple out here the other day. And we saw a red-shouldered hawk and a couple other species.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. An update on the Town Center Field parking lot project. Holly, John, and I met with Charles on Monday to discuss putting that project out to bid. So the bid book is to be posted this week, and the sealed bids are to be delivered to the fiscal office by 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 20th. And I need approval to have a bid opening on Wednesday, 2/21 at 7:45 a.m.
Okay. Mike is the liaison for the Parks and Recs. And in his absence, then I would like to make a motion that we set a bid opening meeting for Town Center Field's parking lot project on Wednesday, February the 21st at 7:45 a.m., which should be here in the community building.
Second for discussion.
Yes.
Did we approve the final drawings? Because I haven't seen anything on final drawings or what's going on with that project.
We did
So, yeah, we came to the board and you guys approved, and it was approved to go out to bid. I'm trying to remember, was
I can
Nick
look
gone?
what
Were
date
you
that
out
was.
that day?
I haven't seen any documentation on even what the project's gonna look like.
Yeah, we can share the bid with you, but we did come to the board to get approval to go up to move forward with this.
So then we had talked about it, but we had also talked about getting the drawings and what the final project was gonna look like.
It was in October, it was approved, because I sent an email to Charles saying on October 20th that it was approved to go out to bid.
Yeah, I was not at the October 18th meeting. But yeah, I've never seen anything on this and what the final drawings were gonna look like, because we had some discussion about, we were gonna have parking on both sides, it was gonna include the pavilion entrance, all of those pieces and how it was gonna impact the fields.
Okay, we can share that with you.
So anyway.
So Sue, I have Sue motioned,
I made the motion, Nick seconded, and to set this meeting, public meeting.
do we have more questions or can we? move
Do
forward?
you have any more questions about it?
No, I just haven't seen this.
Do we wanna table this then until we can,
I think we're gonna be outside of the, what's our advertising time frame on that? Today's the 10th, next meeting is
24th?
24th. It's a public bid opening for the 21st. We'd still be within time frame. So,
I would feel more comfortable if we would just table that
yeah.
until we get to see
Yeah, I'd like to see the
what we're going
the
on.
final project.
So we made a positive motion.
And it's just, it is tabled, so there's just no yes, no
It's
vote.
tabled.
You just mark in the motion and meeting that's tabled. So
Okay, will be good.
All right, and then just some updates on upcoming programs. Tomorrow, we have the Creative Memories Scrapbooking Program with Janet Fox. And here at the Community Center, we're looking at doing, she's gonna do a program for us in January and February. And if those go well, she wants to do one every month. So, and the cost for that is $10 and it's from 1 to 3 p.m. And then on the 20th, we have Animal Tracking Family Adventure. We have a craft at 9:30 and a hike at 10:30, which starts here at the Community Center and then is at Lions Park for the hike. And then on the 25th, we have a full moon hike at Cranberry Creek Park at 6 p.m. And that is all.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mr. Joe with the information technology.
Okay. I am beginning to review the plans for the admin building, making changes with, where some of the things are, how they're wired and where they're wired. based on room layout, who's assigned to what office, just to make sure that, we're, we learn lessons as we do things. And one of the things that was overlooked with the fire department build is we've got desks that are on the opposite side of the room from where like network jacks are. So we've had to run additional network jacks in the fire department in a few rooms. So I want to make sure that we don't overlook that with the admin building. So I'm working with Holly and, whoever's gonna be assigned to each office decide, okay, my desk is gonna be here, so the network jacks need to be on that wall. So making sure that when the building is done, we don't have either long network wires running across the floor, or we have to put in additional jacks later. Also, looking at any updates that we can do to the building. Technology's changed a little bit since the building was first designed. Do we actually need this type of wiring? Maybe we can upgrade it to something newer. Which gets me into my second thing, which isn't a approval to purchase, but more of a approval to look at more modern technology. So the first thing I would like to talk about is our live streaming cameras. Right now, our live streaming tech is literally 2 camcorders that are mounted to a wall. They are fixed, from when I set them up. I would like to go with more of a pan tilt zoom type setup and actually move to 3 cameras. That would give us the ability, right now, when we're displaying, I can either show the left side of the room cutting off half our trustees, or the right side of the room cutting off half our trustees. I don't have the ability to say, give me the entire board in one shot. I'm either cutting off half of you or whatnot. So that's why I kind of would like to go to 3 cameras, so I can have one that's primarily just on the board, and then one for each of the department head sides. And then the ability to be able to pan tilt zoom in the real time if we choose to, have a presenter, or, we want to focus on a speaker, I could then focus on them without having, being able to move. Plus these cameras would be of higher quality than newer technology. So a rough estimate on what that system would cost is about $3,000. So again, I'm just saying, asking the board for kind of approval to look into that. If I do, and the reason I'm asking is that would require different wiring. So if I'm going to stick with the type of cameras that we have now, then I can go down one path for wiring. But if I'm going to upgrade, then I want to make sure I have the wiring in place. And that's something that we have to not necessarily decide right now, but I need to make sure it's in the plans, so that way when the building's built, because those are going to be inside of walls. So the wiring has to be decided now, so I have the technology in the future.
Would you like to address that?
Yeah, so
I'm just making, I just want to know, just as a ballpark, that, I would like to have approval to look into this technology, and knowing that at some point, I would be asking for a purchase of said technology.
So I don't think we need a motion then today. Because the motion would be approval of expenditures of funds.
Right.
And we don't know what those funds are, what we're even going.
Right, but if you are against doing that, then I have to change the wiring. That's what I'm saying. If I'm gonna stick with these cameras, I have to put certain wiring in the wall. If I know that the board is going to be open to buying it, then I need to design or ask the building to be designed with different wiring to support this types of cameras.
Yeah, I think the problem with making the motion right now is we can't expend funds that we don't know what they're going to. And 2, I think it's a deeper financial question, because if we're going to make changes to those building designs, I know that you want to change wiring, but the bid book has already been done, and now we're going to change wiring. Those could be changed.
The wiring for these new cameras were actually cheaper than what was in the bid book. So it would actually save on the wiring, but you're buying more expensive cameras.
It could, but it's a change order, which is, we found change orders can be difficult.
Right.
So I think it's a deeper financial question than just $3,000, because it all depends on how the contractor's going to look at it, how the architect looks at it. We got to put time into that. I'm not opposed to the idea. I want the best technology we have.
I
just don't think we need a motion at this point.
What I was going for is just, this is something at some point we're going to sit down with the architect to go over changes. Yeah. And this is going to be one of the changes I would like to discuss with them is, hey, instead of running, these run off of HDMI cables. Instead of running HDMI cables, which are more expensive, these are network-based cameras. So just running network wiring, which is a lot cheaper.
So I'm not opposed to it. I think what you just need to do is have that conversation with Holly and the architect.
Yeah.
And then start looking at the technology and bring back an estimated total project cost, depending on how it's going to require change orders and if it's going to require equipment. I mean, just as a department head, you can look into those projects at any time and bring it to the board.
Okay.
So, worst case, we say no, and then we just move on. But I think what you have to do is, there's too many questions for me to say, yeah, you can spend up to $3,000, but is that $3,000 just for the equipment? And then we don't know what change order effect's gonna have and all those pieces down.
Okay.
So.
I don't oppose it either.
Okay,
So if you're looking for support of looking into it, I'm 100% behind looking
okay.
into it.
I guess
Let's
that's what I was
just-
going for, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you gotta talk with Holly, to talk to the architect, to figure out if it's gonna activate a change order, because that, as we know, can be painful.
Well, actually, these three items here would all fall within that.
Yes.
Yes.
So there will.
The next thing was a question that was, I don't remember, if it was asked during a board meeting or was asked informally, but there was a question about, the current system that's in the community center cannot be moved to the new room. The next one is based on the layout of the new room and how many microphones we're planning on putting in, our current soundboard will not meet our needs. So we would have to replace the sound system. And I would like to go to a digital-based sound system, which actually is cheaper than an analog one. And would also give me the ability to control it remotely. If for some reason I'm up front, being part of the meeting or presenting, I could control the sound system remotely versus having to be in the back of the room. So we would have to replace the sound system. And kind of connected to that, I am working with a company called Sweetwater to review the drawings of the proposed room to get a professional look at how the sound system is designed to make sure we can address the community's concerns about being able to hear clearly.
Yeah, there was supposed to be in the original drawings, there was supposed to be a kind of slightly bowed podium up front for
Yes.
all the board members to
Yes.
sit at. And then there was gonna be a podium in the center.
The
That's
drawing
the
has
public
two
sitting.
podiums now. You've got
Okay.
bank of chairs, an aisle, bank of chairs, aisle. So you actually have two podiums, one left and one right. And that's where it comes in, is you have proposally you have two mic jacks on the floor for those podiums. And then you have mic jacks for the 10 people.
Because everything was supposed to have floor jacks, because all of that's supposed to be movable, because that becomes an instant command center also. So in the event of an emergency, all those chairs go out, all the podiums go out, and we run out of that building.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's just the current system we have only designed for the amount of mics we have now. So by adding more, we need a different mixer. But I'm also looking at the PA system that's in that room, making sure that we have, the right design speakers, that it's going to be clear and audible for the people that do attend, that they'll be able to hear it without going with very intrusive I'm trying to stay with the big box speakers that look nasty. I want something that looks nice in that room.
Right.
Okay.
Good conversation.
Yes. Thank you.
So it's good to be able to sit here and express our opinions and all those good things. Appreciate it.
Do we need to amend the agenda since approval isn't needed, or just?
No, there's just no action taken, so it can sit how it is.
Okay, under the cemetery, there is no old business and there's no new business. Fiscal office. Since John isn't here, then Holly is going to address his issues.
Yes, so I'm actually not familiar with this one. He didn't, I don't have the information. I'm not sure if either of you are familiar with it.
Yeah, this is something we do every year. This is just where we ask for advance on our funding from Portage County.
Okay.
So we're due for first half advances.
Okay.
So I'd like to make the motion to request first half advances from Portage County.
And I'll second that. Discussion?
No, this is just normal things that we do at the end of the, or
Right.
beginning of the year. We do this twice a year. We had asked for advances on the cash flow.
Okay.
The county will send that over
Alright,
while they
so
do tax collection.
our vote, Mike absent, Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Okay, motion's approved. Before we go on, do we need to accept the inventory in this meeting from the inventory meeting?
I was looking, I can't find it. That's what I was doing on my phone over here. I was looking at the previous meeting minutes from last year. I don't see it in there, but typically we have to accept it. We accepted it for review.
Right.
I didn't see any issues with it.
I didn't either.
Okay, did department heads have any changes they needed to
No,
notify us
that's
about?
how we typically do it,
Yeah.
just.
So I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add a section for acceptance of township inventory.
Second.
Okay. And then for vote, we have Mike absent, Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Yes. Then I'd like to make a motion to accept the township inventory sheets as presented at the January 8th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
And then vote to approve, Mike absent, Sue,
Yes.
and Nick.
Yes.
Okay, approved.
Okay, now we have come to the part of the meeting, we need to have a executive session. Do we have a,
I have it here, I'll read it, but do we want to do for the good of the order first? Because sometimes people don't like that.
oh, if you all don't want to stay for the executive session for when we come back, is there any comments to be made for the good of the order?
I had one, you can do a deduct change order quite easily with the fire department.
Okay,
And it's a no cost, they can't put a markup or anything on it, it just simply shows as a deduct for material only because they had to run wire anyways, so labor's washed it. But it would be a deduct on materials.
but it will depend also though on where we play, if we move cameras around from where we originally placed them and kind of rewire all that and change the run back to a different location.
Only if it adds more footage.
Okay.
If you put it in a different spot and it actually is less, then you can get paid. So we deducted, we can get paid instead of paying them.
Right, so that's why I want to look at all those pieces to see how it's going to change that.
Yeah.
Changing soundboards and all this, those wiring could change.
Right.
That's what I always hear them, though. We'll give you a credit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why you always make sure you get it in.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta change
Yeah.
it.
So, thank you. Other questions or comments? Yes.
I just want to thank the township for all the work that went into this project with the library. It's been fantastic working with all of you, and it really should have. Thank you.
Are you enjoying the new building? Getting comfortable?
I've been in there a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
We are technically open to the public right now, as a chance to work out some of the minor problems. And I'm happy to say that our, receipt printers, when people check things out, are no longer showing the wrong branch. So there are a couple of things that, by all means, if you do want to stop in advance of the 20th, you can. It'll give us a chance to work out any last bugs before we have cameras clicking.
What is your hours of being open?
So Monday and Tuesday, 11 to 7. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday, 9 to 5.
I will tell you that I overheard some conversation at the Kent Free Library. I was dropping off some books for a project for my daughters. And the front desk person's like, yeah, I heard they have the soft opening. And people were talking about the Brimfield branch there and sending people down that were coming up from Brimfield.
They posted it on Facebook, their Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Libraries.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So there's good news happening out there. They're sharing the info, so.
Okay.
Anything else?
At this time, I would move that we go into executive
Do
session.
you want me to? I'll make the motion so I can read through it.
Yeah, you make the motion, or you can read that then.
All right, motion for executive session January 10th, 2024. Trustee Koya moved to convene an executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G for the purposes of considering the following matters: preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. Give me a second.
I will second. And I thank you all for coming to visit us this morning. And I would like your card.
You want to leave it back on the chair?
Okay.
Does that work?
That'll work.
We need a roll call for the executive session.
Okay, Mike absent, Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes. Executive session at 9:08.
Now, we all need So we have come out of, you need a motion to come out.
We gotta wait for it to turn on.
Okay.
All right, so no, we just state the time we're out of executive session at 9:27.
Yeah, 9:27, we're out of executive session, back into regular. And since Mike isn't here for the road department, I would like for you to go ahead.
So I'd like to, based on our discussion in executive session, I'd like to make a motion to accept the collective bargaining agreement between Brimfield Township and, what's the official name on the contract, Bob?
It is the Teamsters Freight Drivers, Dock Workers, and Helpers Union Local 24.
And the collective bargaining agreement will be from, what is the time frame on that?
January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
That is the motion. Holly and Dave worked on this negotiation. The union members from the road department are comfortable with it also, what we've heard. So we're willing to accept it and send it over for their signature and for it to be effective as of January 1st. So they'll have that pay piece there too from the beginning of the year.
Yep, the union did vote last week to approve it. Okay. So the vote, Mike is absent, Nick
Yes,
and Sue.
Yes,
That's approved.
and I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
second.
Okay, meeting adjourned
You have to call roll.
at 9:29.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool.
Mike absent, Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 9:29.
There we go.